Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Today's going to be another football-oriented discussion video. I have some notes here in regards to the Liverpool-Tottenham game because that's the main game that we will be talking about for today's video. Um, we will be talking about the other teams as well. We'll be looking at Arsenal versus Crystal Palace and Manchester United against Norwich. So let's start off with the Liverpool-Spurs game. You can see right off the bat, Liverpool's starting 11 is pretty much their strongest starting 11, except for Dejan Lovren in the team. I think even in this game, it was very noticeable that at times he was a liability in the team. And to be honest, he usually is. I really don't feel like Lovren really has that many like standout performances when he's in the starting 11. I feel like with Lovren, because Liverpool kind of plays like this style of play where they play high pressure when they lose the ball, right? And I feel like Lovren, when he plays that certain style, he can't really track back and get into position when that high pressure doesn't work for that specific situation. Because I feel like sometimes when Liverpool were attacking against Spurs, he always seemed to be the liability in the defense in regards to being outpaced by the Spurs lineup. I think tactical awareness from him, he's okay. I just don't think that he has the pace in him to be able to play that specific play style that Liverpool plays. So for me personally, I would go with Joe Gomez, and we're going to get into the game part of the game as well. Liverpool versus Spurs. With Spurs' lineup, I think Spurs started off with a very good lineup. I think probably one of their strongest, right? Gazzaniga in net, Aurier, Alderweireld, Sanchez, Rose at the back four. The middle is Winks, Sissoko, and Ali. I'm personally a fan of Winks. I think he's a very, very good player. And then Christian Eriksen, Harry Kane, and Heung-min Son. In all honesty, I would maybe say that Lucas Moura is the type of player that probably should be playing more often because he's a very good player, right? And I feel like if he ever catches form, he would be a very, very good player for Spurs. But this is the lineup that they ended up going with. It's not one where you can be super opposed of, but it is the lineup that they chose to go with, right? So the biggest thing with this game, right? And I have some notes here in regards to the whole game. The biggest thing in the game was the first goal that Spurs scored, right? A little bit of a lucky opportunity. Moussa Sissoko did a very good job in the midfield to hold up the play really well, lay the ball off to Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son cuts in. Lovren with the header, or tried to clear the ball. They had deflects off the post, goes into the back of net from a Harry Kane deflection. That's football. It happens, right? But I feel like Spurs, for me personally, made the mistake of playing a park the bus tactic against Liverpool. Reason being, right, is because I feel like personally, when Liverpool is losing a game, their strengths are in their attack and in their high pressure. The only way that you're going to be able to score from playing park the bus against a team like Liverpool is if you have very pacey players to go on the counterattack, right? And I feel like personally, once that first goal was scored, the only player that seemed capable, or the only players that seemed capable enough of doing that, was Moussa Sissoko and Heung-min Son, right? So I feel like, once they scored that first opportunity, it was a mistake for them not to play balanced football rather than them playing a more defensive style, right? So the way that the Spurs were kind of lining up in the midfield when they conceded the opportunity was, it was kind of like a 4-5-1 system, a 4-6-1 system where Harry Kane would kind of linger around the general midfield area and the Spurs midfield would kind of try to block the sides as much as possible and then transition back into the middle. Liverpool, when they attack, they do this brilliant thing where the way that they transition from the sides to the middle is beautiful, right? Because they kind of drag out defenders from Spurs and try to make them bunch up really, really well. But what happens is that when Spurs bunch up, it creates the space on the sides, right? That's why it's beautiful that Liverpool has this play style where they have beautiful attacking fullbacks in Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, right? Because they always found the space at some points in the game, right? So the first half, this is how it was going, right? Spurs would bunch up. Heung-min Son, and I would say probably Christian Eriksen and Moussa Sissoko, combination of Christian Eriksen and Moussa Sissoko, were the guys that had to do a lot of running, right? They had to work a lot when Liverpool were attacking because Spurs were only going for counterattacks. And the thing about defending is that you kind of waste a lot of energy defending in real life because you're always having to predict the attacker in regards to the movement that they're going to make. So it kind of wastes your own energy. And then when you go on that counterattack, it's going to make them more tired at some point, right? But anyways, yeah, they were playing that style. It wasn't really working out. I feel like Liverpool's high pressure was working really well. Although, at times, like I said earlier, there were moments where, Spurs could have gone on the counterattack very well against Liverpool. And I think that in a situation like that, if Spurs were to start with Lucas Moura and they had that lucky opportunity, it would have been maybe a little bit of a different story, because then you have the pace behind someone like Heung-min Son and someone like Lucas Moura that can get in behind the team when Liverpool are doing the high pressure. The high pressure works beautifully. The problem is that when Spurs get past that high pressure, switch it to the sides or make that long through ball, that's when Liverpool were a little bit shaky in the defense. And there were opportunities that Spurs could have scored some opportunities, right? There was a pass that was passed across goal where Dele Alli just missed it. Dele Alli was kind of a ghost this game, and to be fair, so was Eriksen, but it was because of the play style that Spurs were playing. But the high pressure that Liverpool were playing allowed Spurs at times to get in behind, but I feel like for the most part, the risk and reward factor of Liverpool's high pressure was working out really well for them. But like I said, I really do think that Lovren does not fit that play style that Liverpool plays of high pressure, because it was noticeable that he was caught out by a few players here and there, right? So, but he did what he did. They won the game, right? Gazzaniga in the first half was doing really well. He did some beautiful saves. The right-sided save when Salah hit it with his left foot, the right top right corner, was a beautiful save. Another beautiful save against Van Dijk on the free kick, and then a good generic save from the Trent Alexander long shot, right? And first half it seemed like Gazzaniga was definitely going to be on form. Didn't feel like anything was going to get past him. But the thing is that if you watch football enough, you know that the second half it's going to be a little bit different, right? And that play style that Spurs were playing had to have been changed, because it wasn't going to work out with different tactical approaches, right? So like I said, Liverpool, it felt, and when I was even messaging on Twitter, it felt like Liverpool were going to score in the second half, because at some point that tactic, it kind of just doesn't work against a side like Liverpool that's playing that high pressure, that's playing on the attack, that has attacking fullbacks like Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, right? A tactic that Liverpool actually uses quite a bit that I've noticed, because I myself like Liverpool, I watch their games, is when they have the ball with Virgil van Dijk, right? What Virgil van Dijk does is, because he's so brilliant at passing in behind the defense, I feel like that there's this tactic that they use that, sometimes it feels like that long pass he makes is for no reason. But what Liverpool does, right, is they do that long pass with Van Dijk, but then the three midfielders, which is why I think that Gini Wijnaldum and Fabinho and Jordan Henderson are such a great midfield trio together, is because they're high pressure against dealing with Spurs' midfield. When the defenders from Spurs are trying to head the ball out, they always got the ball back. And that's what I'm saying. This whole style that Liverpool has of high pressure, it was going to catch up to Spurs at some point. Spurs' park the bus is going to be broken down eventually. Sometimes teams come away with this luck factor, right? Where a team attacks, and it's just not their day. They don't score the opportunity. But I feel like the way that Liverpool were attacking, they did find space a lot of different times. So I felt like it was just going to happen eventually, right? Mane had a free header, missed the free header. But like I said, that long ball tactic that Liverpool uses, regardless of the fact if they win the ball in the air or not, at Spurs' back four, that midfield is always on top of Spurs' midfielders to win the ball back. And you could see it often throughout that game that it was a very effective tactic, because if you get the ball back from the midfield, you're up against four defenders again from Spurs, because they would have that lineup of four defenders when Van Dijk would do that long pass. Trent Alexander-Arnold's set pieces in the first half were disappointing. Hit the wall a few times, committed short a few times from the free kicks and from the corners and stuff. But that's it for the first half, right? Second half, Gaza did another save against Firmino. Firmino gets through. Very generic save, is positioned very, very well, saves the opportunity. Fabinho was, honestly, in my opinion, he's probably one of the best CDMs in the world. And this, I genuinely believe this. Fabinho, he creates this space for Liverpool. He breaks down the play. He's just a phenomenal player. I think he was a huge purchase for Liverpool, in my opinion. And I feel like it allowed someone like Jordan Henderson to be transitioned to the side in that center mid position. Obviously, this happened like two or so years ago, and it just worked out really well, because Henderson is a very aggressive player, right? A very, very good box-to-box player, as is Gini Wijnaldum. Gini Wijnaldum is box-to-box, but I feel like he's a little bit more attacking-oriented, which is good, because it kind of creates this variable in your team where you're kind of unpredictable, right? But that trio, that midfield trio, is just so brilliant. It just works out really well for the way that Liverpool plays. Fabinho breaks down the pitch beautifully, breaks down the counterattacks, whatever it is you can think of. He starts plays. His passing behind Spurs' defense is what caused the first goal, right? Fabinho sees that little bit of space on the right side. Danny Rose is challenging, I believe it was Salah or Firmino, and then Henderson with his left foot does a beautiful finish to the bottom left corner. Nothing Gazzaniga can do anything about that, but it was a very, very good finish by him. And then the second goal, in my opinion, it is a penalty. Mane, obviously uses his pace to get around Aurier. Aurier does initially well against Mane, but then Aurier messes up and, kind of taps Mane on the back of the foot, and then it ends up being a penalty. I personally believe that when James Milner is not in the starting 11, we don't really have, or Liverpool don't really have, a consistent free penalty kick taker. I think James Milner, in my opinion, is probably the best one in the team. I think that Salah's penalty wasn't that great, right? Because the way that he took it, I think the run-up for the penalty is what kind of, got Gazzaniga so flat-footed. Because if it wasn't for Gazzaniga being flat-footed, it's the type of opportunity that you could have saved. It was a powerful, low-driven shot in the middle area to the right side, but I do think that if Gazzaniga wasn't caught flat-footed, because if you predict, right, because it is a prediction to predict that someone will shoot the penalty into the middle, right? But I think that in Gazzaniga's case, he was actually caught flat-footed against Salah, right? Which is why Salah was able to hit the sides. But, if Gazzaniga wasn't flat-footed, though, that type of opportunity, if you predict the middle, you could stick out a leg and maybe save it to your left side, right? So I think him being caught flat-footed is what allowed Salah to score that penalty opportunity. But no complaints from me. It was a penalty. It's a penalty that you have to score 2-1. Very clutch opportunity. And that's pretty much it, man. I think that Liverpool, there wasn't any liabilities except for Lovren. I think every time Lovren plays, I think he's the biggest liability. I think that Matip is a very, very good purchase that Liverpool made. It wasn't even a perfect purchase. I think they got him for free from Schalke. And then Joe Gomez, I think for me personally, I don't really rate Gomez too much as a center back individual quality wise. I just think that Joe Gomez plays really well next to Van Dijk because of Van Dijk's leadership. And I guess kind of like Van Dijk has like this role model or big brother role with Joe Gomez. So I just think that makes more sense. He was on the bench. I maybe would have preferred for him to play, but at the end of the day, Liverpool did win with their starting 11, and it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think about the Liverpool game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Liverpool's attack and high pressure is a very, very entertaining way of playing football. So, next games we have is Manchester United versus Norwich, where Manchester United end up winning 3-1, which is obviously a very, very good result. I didn't watch the game personally because I was watching, obviously, Spurs versus Liverpool. All the games were at the same time. Manchester United versus Liverpool. Let's see the goal scorers. Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, and Scott McTominay. So let's see what the lineup was here. Because we discussed about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the other day in regards to the lineup that he's using, and this makes a lot more sense. So it's either, because One Football sometimes get this wrong, because I like to use their app in regards to stuff, right? This might be wrong, but I think they were lining up in a 4-3-3 setup. It says 4-2-3-1 here, but 4-2-3-1 from One Football is sometimes a 4-3-3. It's just the way that they line it up, right? Ashley Young on the left. Surprised because there's that young kid that played left back for Manchester United in the Europa League, and he actually had a very good game. I think it was he might be on the bench here, actually. Brandon Williams. Yeah, he had a very good performance for Manchester United the other day. So maybe they can look into that as well. Ashley Young, I guess, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer uses him as experience for that left-back position. But, maybe integrating the youth in that position could be an ideal situation. But let's see the starting lineup, right? So they got Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, and Ashley Young as the back four. You could argue that at some point, Tuanzebe, maybe, because I think he's injured right now. I think maybe at some point he could maybe break into that starting lineup, because Lindelof, Maguire, Tuanzebe, and Eric Bailly being injured, I think is the most ideal situation because they have Marcus Rojo on the bench, but Marcus Rojo and Phil Jones are kind of just there in my opinion. Then the two midfielders, or the two core midfielders, were Fred and McTominay, or they could have been the CDMs if you look at it that way. And then Andreas Pereira was a cam. Thank God they put Andreas Pereira as the center mid, or the cam. It just doesn't make sense to see him on the sides because I feel like personally he wasn't the type of player to have there. I feel like in the middle he's probably best utilized. Again, I didn't watch the game, but this is just my opinion from watching him play, right? Daniel James off to the right, Martial in the middle, and Rashford off to the left. And I think that's a very, very good lineup in my opinion. I think that's a team right there that is capable enough of beating a strong Norwich City side. So it's good that they came away with the result 3-1. Didn't watch the game, so I'm not really sure how they played in general. So be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And last but not least, for Premier League Roundup, we have Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. We're only reviewing the big games. If you guys want me to check out the other games as well, we definitely can. Arsenal started off with a 4-4-2. This could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong in this. They're playing Kearney on the left back position, David Luiz, Socrates as a center back, Chambers as a right back. Interesting. Pepe on the right side, Guendouzi in the middle with Xhaka. Not a big fan of Xhaka. Ceballos in the left mid position, Lacazette and Aubameyang up top. When I look at the starting lineup, and this will be the last part that we have to say, when I look at the starting lineup, it bothers me because the quality that Arsenal has in their team, in my opinion, and you guys can give me yours, some of you guys are Arsenal fans, so you probably know a little bit better than I do, but I personally believe, right, that a 4-2-3-1 setup would probably be the best solution for them, right? I know that I've seen on Twitter a lot that people prefer the Guendouzi and Lucas Torreira partnership with Ozil as the cam, and then Pep on the right, Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette as a striker. And I agree with that for the most part. But I really think that Dani Ceballos should be starting most games for Arsenal. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he can play that CDM position very, very well, right? And he can also be that creative midfielder that you need when you go on the attack as well. So that's just my opinion. I think for me personally, if you don't want to use Ozil, you could use Dani Ceballos in that position. I think he would play it very, very well. But I would prefer to see Guendouzi and Dani Ceballos in the CDM position with Ozil as the cam, and then Aubameyang on the left, right side Pepe, and then in the striker position Lacazette, because Lacazette's intelligence in the game he's very, very good with off-the-ball movement and on-the-ball movement, and Aubameyang is just fantastic as he is. But they ended up tying 2-2. A goal was disallowed here from Socrates. So again, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below how that went. I heard that Granit Xhaka basically told the fans to fuck off, which is probably not the best way to go about things when you're getting booed and stuff, because it happens in football. Sometimes people aren't happy with you. They'll cheer when you're getting off. They'll boo you when you're getting off. It's not treatment a club should be doing to a player, but it is how the fans are going to react based on the performances of a player. So it's just how it is. Imagine going to Real Madrid and getting booed for being a good player, right? So it kind of fits the same kind of system. So that's pretty much it in regards to I guess my game reviews or game review, because I only watched the Spurs and Liverpool game and kind of just gave my thoughts on the starting lineups and the other teams. But let me know what you guys think about this video. If you guys enjoy it, please drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps out the channel a lot, and I'll catch you guys for the next video. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.